Hello guys, welcome to another video. In this video, we are going to talk about over and under absorption of overhead cost. Guys, actually this is the third video on the absorption costing. In the first video, we talked about how to calculate the product cost by using absorption costing. In second video, we talked about should we use plant-wide recovery rate or departmental recovery rate. So this is the third video. We are going to talk about one adjustment relevant to the absorption costing. In absorption costing, this is called under or over absorption of overhead. So here we go, guys. So usually when we calculate the product cost under absorption costing, so what it includes, guys, it includes the cost of direct material, it includes the cost of direct labor, it includes the cost of variable overhead, and it includes the cost of fixed overhead. And for the absorption costing purpose, okay guys, so it is not necessary to differentiate between variable overhead and fixed overhead. This is for the costing purpose, but to control the cost we should make the different, we should differentiate the variable overhead and fixed overhead. So guys, but for the costing reason, maybe we can plug the overhead as a single amount and we can record to the product. So guys, when you want to record the overhead cost to the product, so how do we record, guys? So first we need to calculate overhead recovery rate. This is also called overhead absorption rate, and mostly this rate we will calculate at the start of the accounting period or at the start of the period to avoid the seasonal fluctuation. And this rate is always based on budgeted values. If you want to calculate the recovery rate, so what we will do, we will take total estimated overhead cost, we need total cost divided by total estimated activity level. So estimated cost means just you will estimate the cost of overhead. Like I'm assuming, so we are charging variable and fixed overhead together here. So you will estimate the cost of indirect material, indirect labor, and factory operating cost, because overhead cost includes these three main categories. Okay guys, so you need to estimate the overhead cost and you will divide with the estimated activity level. Activity level mean to say on which basis we are going to charge our overhead cost to the product. So if our work is labor intensive, so we can use labor hour as activity level, or if our work is machine intensive, we can use machine hours to allocate the overhead cost to the product, or we can use any other basis like output or maybe percentage of direct cost. So whatever the basis is given in the question, you can use to absorb the overhead. So let's assume, guys, our overhead cost is $10,000. It's an estimated. Okay, and simply you will just divide with the estimated activity level. So estimated activity level, I'm assuming these are 5,000 labor hours. So once you will divide, so you will get what recovery rate. So recovery rate is going to be $2 for each labor hour. Now guys, this is the recovery rate. Now it's a time to record the overhead cost to the product. And when you want to record the overhead cost to the product, so what you need to do, so simply here for the recording purpose, you need actual activity level times what overhead recovery rate. Actual activity level mean to say in actuality how many labor hours we are using for each product. For example, if we are here calculating the cost of one product, so you need to know how many actual labor hours we are using to produce one product. For example, we are using 4 labor hours, and we will multiply the rate is how much, $2 for each hour. It means, so guys, total $8 we will record as a overhead cost to the product, and this is called normal absorption costing. But guys, this video we are talking about under or over absorption. What is under and over absorption? If you will just notice here, so when we allocate the product, when we absorb the overhead cost to the product, so we use here estimated overhead cost, and we are using estimated activity level, and we calculate the overhead recovery rate, and then we take it to the product. And when we take it to the product, so what we need to do, we need to multiply with the actual activity level multiplied by this recovery rate. Okay guys, so here, so at the end of the period, what might happen, your actual overhead cost actual overhead cost might be different than overhead applied or overhead absorbed cost. Okay, so what we are going to do, this is what we are going to adjust, because when we prepare the income statement at the end of the period, there we need to record actually actual overhead cost we should record. But what we have already done, we have absorbed certain amount of the overhead cost into the product. So our absorbed amount might be different than actual amount. Okay guys, actually, so what we need to do, so we need to adjust, because absorbed amount could be more or less than actual overhead cost. So what I'm trying to say guys, so here we go, let's start now. So actually guys, the rate of overhead absorption is based on estimate. As I told you, just we calculated the overhead recovery rate, which is totally based on estimates and the budget. Okay, so here what we have estimated, we have already estimated both numerator, which is overhead cost, and both denominator also. It's also our estimate. Okay guys, and it is quite likely that what actually occurs will differ from either one or both of these estimates. Okay, as a consequences, actual overhead incurred will probably be either greater than or less than overhead absorbed into the cost of the product. So it is almost inevitable that at the end of the accounting year there will have been an over absorption or under absorption of the overhead actually incurred. Okay, so guys, so what is the over absorption? Over absorption mean to say when the overhead charged to the cost of sale, I would say to the product, you can say, are greater than overhead actually incurred. This is called over absorption, because here your actual cost is less but absorbed amount is more. So that is why over absorption you will minus from the cost of sale. So far I'm assuming cost of sale because I'm assuming amount is material. By the way, the adjustment you will do in the cost of goods sold, or you will split this over absorption and under absorption to work in process, to finished goods, or to cost of goods sold. So it depends, actually the amount is material or immaterial. So I'm assuming here the amount is immaterial, because what entry you will pass, that we will cover later, okay, with the job order costing. So I'm just going to calculate over absorption or under absorption. And what is under absorption guys? Under absorption means that insufficient overheads have been included in the cost of sale. I mean, say your absorbed amount is less than actual. This is called under absorption. So guys, how to get under and over? Let's have a look with the help of example. And actually this adjustment is required at the time of preparation of the income statement, because ultimately in the income statement we have to record actual overhead cost. For example, if actual cost is 100 but absorbed amount which is showing in the product, for example, it is $80. So you can see here absorbed amount is 80, which I have already reflected, but actually it should have been reflected how much? $100. It should reflect $100. So $20 are less there guys. So this $20, what we will do, we will add in the absorbed, like 80 plus under absorbed of 20, so it will reach to the 100. So there could be other scenario also guys. For example, if your actual overheads are 100 and absorbed overheads are 110, which have been reflected in the product, okay, 110, it means there is over absorption of $10 because absorbed is more than actual. So over absorption, what you will do, so you will take this 110 minus this over absorption, which is 10. So automatically 110 minus 10, you will reach to the actual overhead. So this is what we need to do the adjustment. So here we go, let's understand with the help of example, because if I will perform couple of questions with you, so you will understand in better way. Suppose we have example that the budgeted overhead in the production department is $80,000. This is our budgeted overhead cost, and budgeted activity level is 40,000 direct labor hours. It means guys, our overhead recovery rate will be based on budgets, and our overhead cost is $80,000, and our activity level is 40,000 labor hours, because I'm assuming here overhead are absorbed based on labor hours. So what we will get, we will get the rate of $2 for each labor hour. Okay guys, here they're telling you actual overheads in the period are say 84,000. This assume your 84,000 the actual amount, and 45,000 direct labor hours are worked. So this is the actual direct labor hours. So if you want to calculate the under and over absorption now, simply you will take the difference of actual overhead, and actual overheads are 84,000, and you will compare with the overhead absorbed. And absorbed, how you will get, guys? For the absorbed, always you will apply this formula. You will take actual activity level times overhead recovery rate. This overhead recovery rate is estimate actually. So this estimate you will multiply with the actual activity level, and actual activity level here, guys, 45,000 direct labor hours, because overhead are absorbed based on labor hours. So what you will do, you will take 45,000 labor hours and multiply by recovery rate, which is our estimated rate, that is $2. So you will get 90,000 absorbed overhead. And you can see here your absorbed overheads are greater than actual, so that's why it's called over absorbed. So this 6,000, because it is over absorbed, so you will subtract from the cost of goods sold. I'm assuming this amount is immaterial, because in cost of goods sold already 90,000 is showing, which is absorbed. From there you will subtract 6,000, which is over absorbed. So ultimately you will reach to the 84,000, which is your actual overhead cost. Okay, but this adjustment is required. Now, guys, here we have here reasons. Why? What are the reasons for over and under absorption of overhead, guys? Because when we calculated recovery rate, again I'm repeating because I need to convey this, guys. So what we have to do, what we have done there, we have taken estimated overhead cost divided by estimated activity level. So your under and over absorption could be the result of what? Maybe your actual overhead cost are different from the budgeted overhead. Like maybe it could be the difference of numerator, or maybe your actual activity level is different from the budgeted activity level. Maybe it is the it is arising due to the change in denominator. Okay, or it could be due to both, like actual overhead cost and actual activity level differ from the budgeted cost and level. So these are the possible reasons for under or over absorption. So here we go. Let's do a quick examples, 2-3 different cases to understand how to get the under and over absorption, and then we will discuss shortcut also. Guys, here we have a P company has budgeted production overhead of $50,000. This is the budgeted overhead, and budgeted activity level is 25,000 direct labor hours, and therefore a recovery rate is $2 per hour. Because recovery rate, how you will get, you need budgeted overhead cost, which is 50, divided by budgeted labor hours, which is 25,000. So you will get recovery rate of $2 per labor hours. Now calculate the under and over absorbed overhead and reasons for the under and over absorption in the following circumstances. So we have a case number one is what? When your actual overhead cost is $47,000 and actual direct labor hours are worked 25,000 hours. Okay, so how you will get, guys? Idea is very simple. So you will take what? Case number one. So you will put actual overhead cost, which is given here $47,000. Okay, from there you will subtract absorbed overhead, or you will compare absorbed overhead. And for the absorbed overhead, always you will follow the formula actual activity level times overhead recovery rate. Actual activity level is 25,000 hours, and recovery rate is $2, which is based on estimate. Okay, so you got $50,000, and you can see here your absorbed, focus on absorbed, your absorbed overhead are more than actual, so it means it is over absorbed. Now look at the reason. What is the reason? The reason for over absorption is that although the actual and budgeted direct labor hours are the same, because budgeted labor hours were also 25,000 in the question, you can just confirm from above, and actual overhead labor hours are also 25,000. But what is the difference here? But actual overhead cost is less than expected, so this is the reason. So scenario number two, don't forget our recovery rate is $2, which we will use throughout this example. Okay, $2 per labor hour. Now we have a, guys, scenario number two. So if actual overhead cost is $50,000 and 21,500 labor hours are worked, this is the actual hours. So guys, here again, what you will do here, just you have to take actual overhead cost, which is 50,000. Okay, so you will put it here, actual overhead cost is 50,000. Now you are calculating absorbed overhead, which is based on actual activity level, which is 21,500 labor hours multiplied by overhead recovery rate. So this will give you $43,000, and you can see here your absorbed overhead are less than actual. So this is called under absorbed. Under absorbed will always be added in the cost of goods sold if the difference is immaterial. So what you will do here, because this value is already reflected in the income statement, so once you will add this 7,000 there, you will add 7,000 automatically because it's under absorbed, so you will reach to the actual amount. Okay, and third scenario, guys, you will do by yourself. Just take as a practice now. For example, case number 3, if actual overhead cost is $47,000 and overhead direct labor hours are 21,500 hours, so what is the under or over absorption? So here is the solution. I will just show you the solution. You can calculate by yourself, take as an assignment. This is the third scenario. Okay, guys, this is the solution for that. So here we have, guys, now we have here note. Sometimes, student, they might face difficulty to decide it is over absorption or under absorption. So there is a simple rule which we can apply. So guys, you can apply this format also to memorize for your exam adjustment. If actual overhead incurred, you will take actual overhead incurred. From there, you will minus absorbed overhead. And for the absorbed, I told you, you will take actual activity level times overhead recovery rate. So you will take actual overhead income minus absorbed overhead. So if answer is negative, N, negative stand for N, then it is called overheads are over absorbed. Over absorbed means to say over absorbed means to say O. So NO, rule is the NO. NO means a no. No means if answer is negative, like when you apply this formula, actual overheads minus absorbed overheads. Okay, if answer is negative, so we will say it is over absorbed. So that is why rule is NO. So but the second scenario, if actual overhead cost, if you will take actual cost minus absorbed overhead, which you will absorb in the same way. So if answer is positive, then overheads are under absorbed. So for the under word is U, so we can use the word PU. So simple rule is that, so when answer is, what is the rule? So for both, shortcut rule is what? NOPU. NO means if answer is negative, it is called over absorbed. If answer is positive, it is called what? Under absorbed. Okay, guys. So here I have I'm going to show you one small question, exam standard question. You can see here, guys. So this could be tested in, this is the actually some calculations are there. So they're telling you a management consultancy recovers overheads on chargeable consulting hours. Like it's a recovery rate is based on consultancy hours. Budgeted overheads were 615,000 and actual consulting hours were 32,150 hours. Overheads were under recovered, it's under absorbed by $35,000. If actual overheads were $694,075, what was the budgeted overhead absorption rate per hour? So guys, he's asking about budgeted overhead absorption rate. So simply what we can do, so we can do this way also. So simply just put it here, actual overhead cost, put first here. We have an actual overhead cost, which is given 694,075. It is given here. From there, what you will do here, guys, you will simply minus what? Under absorbed overhead. Under absorbed are how much? 35,000. Okay, so you will automatically reach to the absorbed overhead. Absorbed or recovered overhead. So if you will minus under absorbed, because under absorbed means absorbed are less than actual. If actual is 694,075, so it means absorbed are less. That's why it's under. So that's why I just we need to minus 35,000. So you will reach to the absorbed overhead, which is 659,075. This is what is absorbed. Now just focus and think how the overhead were absorbed. So the formula which you have used, that is called actual activity level times overhead recovery rate. So this is what it should be equal to this much money, right? It should be equal to absorbed. So if you have absorbed overhead and you know the actual activity level, so simply you can calculate the overhead recovery rate. It's very simple. So simply take this value, which is absorbed 659,075, and divide by with the actual activity level, and actual activity level is given here, actual consulting hours are 32,150. So what answer you will get? I guess you will get 20.50. Yes. Okay. So this option B is correct. Guys, this is how it is tested. So actually this adjustment you need to perform in order to prepare the income statement. In next video, I will talk about the income statement under absorption costing, like which format we will follow. And this adjustment will be repeated there also, because we need to do this adjustment at the time of preparation of income statement. Thank you so much, guys. See you in the next video. Bye bye.